Welcome to a series that we call The End of Times, where we're going through the book of Revelation verse by verse to try our best to see what it is we can expect to happen and what our roles will be in the end times, or the times Jesus refers to as the end of the age, and where we are in the book of Revelation. And I hope you've been following along. Oftentimes it's difficult just to jump in, but we're in chapter 13. If you haven't seen the previous 79 episodes, please take some time to go back. I know it sounds crazy to say, hey, go back and watch 80 episodes, but God has put it in a particular order for a reason. We're not to jump around. We start with verse 1 and we move on all the way to the end of the book, verse by verse. But we're in chapter 13. We just finished talking about the beast of the sea, and now we're introduced to a second beast, the beast of the land. So we're just going to pick it up right there in Revelation 13, verse 11. Then I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and spoke like a dragon. And he exercises all the authority of the first beast in his presence, and causes the earth and those who dwell in it to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. So the first beast he's referring to here is the beast of the sea, which has 10 horns. And that was determined that those are 10 kings. And we know that to be true because if we go back to Daniel 7, we only use the Bible as a reference. We don't use any commentary. We only use the Bible as a reference. In Daniel 7, he saw this beast, and it had 10 horns. So we're going to go back to that for a moment. It's very important we understand the first beast to understand the second beast. And I know we've spent lots of episodes on the first beast, so we're not going to spend this episode on it. There's just a few pieces of it you need to understand this second beast. So we're going to go back to Daniel 7. Now, Daniel saw this beast, but there's something that he noticed peculiar about this beast. We're just going to pick it up in Daniel 7, verse 7. After this I saw at the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, exceedingly strong. It had huge iron teeth. It was devouring, breaking into pieces, and trampling the residue with its feet. It was different from all the beasts there were before it, and it had 10 horns. I was considering the horns, and there was another horn, a little one, coming up among them, before whom 3 of the first horns were plucked out by the roots. And there in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking pompous words. Now what he's seeing is that this beast had 10 horns, just like the beast we're talking about in Revelation. So he's seeing the same beast, but he sees this small horn come up out of the beast. That's what we're looking at here, this other beast. Now, as we talk about the beast from the land, it's important that we understand that the first beast has 10 kings involved in this situation. One of them rises up and becomes the Antichrist. He's given authority by the dragon to exercise all sorts of powers, has dominion of the entire earth. Then he takes a deadly wound, and then all of a sudden he just shows up to work fine the next day. Now keep in mind, we talked about this many episodes, the devil cannot resurrect anybody from the dead. Only God and Jesus can do that, so they make an image of it. And that's what this second beast is all about, is making everybody worship that image, that thing. It's almost, I think whoever wrote The Wizard of Oz almost saw this scenario in there, but it really is like you have this almighty thing that's just an image that is impressing everybody, but there's a man behind the curtain, and that's who this beast is. It's very important. Now, it has 2 horns. This is 2 people. That's very important, that this beast is made up of 2 kings. Very critical piece. Now, something they say in verse 11, which we're going to come back to, we're going to spend a whole episode on this, it's very important, is he looks like a lamb, but speaks like a dragon. What that means is he looks like a Christian. He looks like he's probably a leader. A lot of Christians will like this guy or these guys. He looks like a Christian, but he speaks like a dragon. He's blasphemous talk, vulgar talk, pompous talk. But nonetheless, because he looks like a a lamb, many Christians, and again I'm going to kind of use the quotes, many Christians who go to church, profess to be Christians, but they're not Christians. They're not following the Word of God. They're going to follow this guy, eagerly follow it and do everything that he tells them to do. This guy is truly the one we all really need to worry about. This is the one pulling all the strings. He's going to make everybody worship the other beast, and he's going to be given an authority to essentially control the image of the beast and make everybody take a mark. And he's the one who's really pulling all the strings. So the mark of the beast, the number of the beast, all these things are coming from this particular man, or two men, two kings, who will be doing this. Now again, we know the horns to be kings. So he has two horns. So again, go back to, we did an episode on, I think 4 episodes, when we were talking about the horns of the first beast. Go back, I don't want to keep dwelling on the first beast, but he clearly spells out when an angel explains to Daniel what that first beast is. He says it very clearly that these are people. And we can see that again if we go back to Daniel 7, and we'll pick it up in verse 23 when the angel is explaining to Daniel what he's seeing here. And it says, "Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be a fourth kingdom on the earth, which shall be different from all other kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, trample it, and break it in pieces. The 10 horns are 10 kings, who shall arise from this kingdom, and another shall arise after them. He shall be different from the first, and shall subdue 3 kings. He shall speak pompous words against the Most High, shall persecute the saints of the Most High, and shall intend to change times and law. Then the saints shall be given into his hand for a time, and a times, and half a time." So ultimately what they're saying in Daniel is, the 10 horns of the first beast are 10 kings. But there'll be this other king that rises up out of them. This is that little horn, or this is the beast of the lamb that's rising up out of them. And he shall subdue 3 of the 10 kings, first and foremost, and we'll talk about that later. He shall speak pompous words. There's the lamb that speaks like a dragon against the Most High. Shall persecute the saints of the Most High, because again, the first beast is going to war against the saints. The war between the saints and the Antichrist is the most important war that will ever take place on the planet Earth, ever. And that's kind of what we're looking at. And then it basically says the saints shall be given into his hand for a time, and times, and half a time. That's that 3.5 years of tribulation. So then if we go back to chapter 13, you got the beast of the sea, made up of 10 kings. Then you have this other beast coming out, made up of 2 kings, the beast of the land. Now, that means it's just coming from one country, one kingdom. But he comes up from these other kings. And he has, it's 2 horns, 2 kings, essentially. Speaks like a lamb, or looks like a lamb, but speaks like a dragon. And he exercises all the authority of the first beast in his presence, and causes the earth and those who dwell in it to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Now, again, I have some speculations, not just speculations based on biblical things on who these people are. And I just want to say again, I don't want to necessarily say who they are, because oftentimes I thought who they were, and then I found out I was wrong. But I do believe I know who some of these kings are. I don't want to necessarily address who they are until we get into the chapter on Babylon, because Babylon clearly spells out where these kingdoms are coming from. So I just don't want to speculate, because again, by the time we get there, I'll probably find out I'm wrong. That's why I hesitate to even say. I just want to wait till we get to that section and then share that. But ultimately, you have a beast of the sea who's going to rule the entire planet. 10 kings. One of those kings will rise to be the Antichrist, will take a fatal head wound, and then will be resurrected the next day and show up to work. Then there's this other beast, the beast of the land. It's 2 kings. And then that king will then cause the world to worship. The first one will cause the world to take the mark of the beast, and he really just kind of is the one pulling all the strings. Looks like a lamb, speaks like a dragon is what they describe this beast to be like. So there you go. We're going to kind of keep rolling through this first beast. Or the second beast. We're going to talk about the signs and wonders next of what he does and the devices he used to deceive the entire planet. So love to hear your thoughts on this second beast. Any thoughts you might have, just put them in the comments below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. If you feel called to support this channel through Patreon, that link is also below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests. Please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, love guns.